SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
State Treasurer David McRae has put hundreds of millions back into the hands of Mississippi's citizens, expanding the state's affordable college and career savings program and also returning record amounts of unclaimed money. Check out how Treasurer David McRae's office can help you, your business, or your organization. Treasury.ms.gov.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Mississippi.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Woo! Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5, my mother said I was gonna be the greatest man alive. But now I'm a man.
And just like that, we are back at it. Good morning to you, and welcome to Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi, presented by Community Bank. Online at communitybank.net. Community Bank, rooted in our community. Alongside Lance Stolbert, I'm Richard Cross. Thanks for joining us. Kind of a gray, dreary, drizzly, in some cases rainy morning across the state of Mississippi. Lance Stolbert, good morning.
Good morning, man. Are you up and at 'em after a long one last night, huh?
Man, we had a banger last night. Double overtime in Knoxville, Texas A&M, and Tennessee at Food City Center. Thompson Bowling Arena at Food City Center now, I think, is the official name of that building. And it was fun. It was tight the whole way. Texas A&M was never like fully in control, but they led almost the entire way. And then in the last 5 minutes of regulation and the 2 overtime periods, I think we had 16 ties and like 9 lead changes. I mean, it was fun. A really, really fun way to spend a Tuesday night, but now back at it and ready to head back to Mississippi as soon as we finish up here.
As soon as possible, huh?
Yeah, and I kind of painted myself into a corner inadvertently. Different time zone in the Eastern time zone. And I think when I was thinking about flight times today, I was thinking an hour in the opposite direction.
Right, yeah. Ooh, it's going to be tight, huh?
So instead of thinking, oh, I'll finish up at 10 o'clock here, I was thinking I'll finish up at 8 o'clock here. No, it's an hour later that we'll get finished where I am, and then an 11 o'clock flight, so I'm going to have to boogie when we get finished up. But we'll worry about that in a few hours. Glad to be with you this morning. Showers early this morning, becoming less numerous throughout the day in Tupelo, high of 51. Winds out of the west and northwest at 10 to 20 miles an hour, 90% chance of rain today in Tupelo. Sounds kind of dreary.
Yeah.
Starkville, you've got overcast with rain showers at times, 52 for your high. 5 to 10 out of the west and northwest with a 70% chance of rain. If you're a little farther south, it gets a little bit better. Hattiesburg going to be cloudy today, slight chance of a rain shower. 59 degrees for the high winds out of the west, 10 to 15. And if you go farther south, still Kill, Mississippi. Or if you prefer to be incorrect and have someone correct you, I guess you could say Kiln. Kill, Mississippi, cloudy, slight chance of a rain shower, 63 degrees with winds. It's going to be blowing there, 10 to 20 miles per hour.
Yeah, it looks like your kid dumped out the green and yellow and red paint on like a white piece of paper. It's kind of the way the South looks today.
Yeah.
Splotchy, rain, some, maybe some rough stuff around Montgomery and all that in Alabama. So if you're traveling through there, Atlanta, you may hit some rough stuff, but I hope you don't hit it is what I'm saying.
I'm planning on flying over it.
Good, yeah.
We're going to get up and go over it and then get down in a hurry, hopefully. Birthdays today. We got birthdays. We got things that happened on this day in history, and there is a lot of stuff. We go all the way back to 83 B.C. for our first birthday. Mark Antony, the Roman politician and general, was born in Rome. Only lived to be 53 years old. Born in 83 BC. Benedict Arnold. Boy, nothing like having your name last for centuries as an insult because of what you did. The American general and turncoat in the American Revolutionary War was born in Norwich, Connecticut. Not a compliment if somebody calls you a Benedict Arnold based, just in case you're not completely brushed up on your history.
No, I mean, he was in command of West Point, too. Think of that. Yeah. Kind of a key guy to be a turncoat.
Just a sorry son of a gun. Sorry. By the way, the ceasefire text line is open, 601-879-4395. C-Spire, customer inspired. Thomas J. Watson Jr. was born on this day in 1914, the American businessman, president of IBM from 1952 until 1971. Also served as United States ambassador to the Soviet Union. He was born in Dayton, Ohio. And I guess there's an entire computer system named after him.
The Watson.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a heck of a time to be the ambassador to the Soviet Union, too. What was that, 79 through 81?
Yeah.
Things are ramping up big time there.
Yes. Nathan Rochester, another IBM guy, he was born in 1919, computer scientist and chief architect of the IBM 701. Alan Toussaint, American pianist, songwriter, and producer. He had songs like Mother-in-Law, Working in a Coal Mine, and Southern Nights. Born in Gerttown, Louisiana.
I don't know where Gerttown is. I'm going to look that one up.
I'm guessing South Louisiana.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like a neighbor to Monroe. But that's, I'll let you find it.
It's not the suburb of Ruston.
No.
Let's see here.
No, not at all. By the way, Faye Dunaway, born on this day in 1941. Chinatown, Bonnie and Clyde. She was born in Bascom, Florida.
Gerttown is mid-city New Orleans, due west from the French Quarter off of Tulane Avenue.
There we go.
Yep.
I mean, South Louisiana.
Yeah, you were right on it.
Carl Weathers, born on this day in 1948. What a run.
Man.
Football player, an actor, a director. How about movies like Rocky 1, 2, 3, and 4, or Street Justice, or The Mandalorian?
And many others. You got Action Jackson in there, too. Don't forget about that. That's my favorite. Hey, and remember this. He actually played an MP on, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Brief little piece in there, but he's actually in that. Force 10 from Navarone, that's another one. And, one of the funny things about him was, he played for the Raiders, had a full season, or I think he started about 7 or 8 games for him at linebacker. Next season, they moved him to safety, played in one game, got cut by Madden, and Madden tells him, "Man, I'm sorry, you're just too sensitive." That was what Madden told him. This dude, Mr. Sensitive. I mean, he was one of the first guys, too, that really just got jacked up. I mean, huge bodybuilding and, the Predator. What a great run, yeah. Sorry, man, he's one of my favorites. I had to add
love it.
a little.
Love it. Steven Soderbergh was born in 1963, the American producer, director, and writer with credits like Ocean's 11 and Traffic, born in Atlanta, Georgia. I guess now former news anchor, born in Holly Springs, Mississippi. Shepard Smith with a birthday today. He was born in 1964. Saw Shep at the Fiesta Bowl. Good seeing him and catching up a little bit.
Never got to really talk to him much, but as a bartender for a while, he was such a nice guy. I mean, I served him a handful of times, so he was always approachable, even when he was in the prime of his career. One of those guys that you could talk to and visit with. Such a nice fellow.
Good dude. LL Cool J was born in 1968. The famous American rapper from Bayshore, New York. And one of the all-time great musicians, 57 years old today, Dave Grohl, the drummer, singer, songwriter, guitarist, first with Nirvana, then Foo Fighters, born in Warren, Ohio. You a big Dave Grohl guy?
Oh, yeah, definitely, man. I mean, what a career, too.
Oh, man. Speaking of guys with great careers, how about Jason Bateman, born in 1969?
Just keeps
Arrested
pumping him out.
Development, Ozark, and so many more.
He's such an enjoyable actor to watch, too. You know, you root for the guy, you like him. He can play about any role. I mean, and he's funny, too. You know, just kind of self-deprecating type of humor that he's just a funny guy. I enjoy him.
Yeah, the depth of the role, well, the breadth maybe of the roles that he can play and has played, really, really incredible.
A lot of people forget that he was in, what was it, the crazy one with Jeremy Piven, set in like Reno. God, what is it's the gambling movie? But anyway, he has like a big, cold sore on his lip the whole time.
Oh,
yeah, and it's it's one of those roles that you don't go, yeah, I want that role, but I mean, he played it and killed it. I mean, just a great actor.
Yeah. We'll get to some things that happened on this day in history. We have news headlines this morning. Sports update coming up for you as well. We'll check in on the Mississippi Lottery. Also looking forward later this morning, 7:20, to a visit with Senator Dennis DeBar. He is chair of the Senate Education Committee. We'll enjoy that conversation. And Senator Roger Wicker going to join us in the 8 o'clock hour this morning. It's Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi. Thanks for starting your day with us.
From the Venable Glass.
Waking up, Mississippi. From South Haven to Scuba, it's Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Wednesday morning. Today is the 14th of January, and we, Lance and I, are glad to be starting our day with you. Wherever you're starting your day, however you're listening, thanks for joining us. Glad to have you along for the ride. C Spire text line. Opinion coming in this morning just a few minutes ago. Mississippi needs to call for a convention to offer a constitutional amendment that states only children born to legal U.S. citizens and those from another country legally seeking U.S. citizenship are afforded birthright citizenship status. I believe we could get 2/3 of states to join us with a convention forcing the issue.
You might could get every state. It would just be the big cities within certain states that would be like, no, don't think so.
Yeah, not for that. Is that any... Maybe my brain's not firing on all cylinders yet, but how is that different than the birthright citizenship conversation that you're just talking about that being a groundswell from the states to force the issue?
That's what I took it as, yeah.
As opposed to an executive order, I suppose. Hogman sent us a picture of a deer this morning. Ooh, brother.
Yeah, that's a trophy.
That is a trophy, Hogman.
Is it backyard deer too? Yeah.
Great to hear from you this morning. All right, some things that happened on this day in history. There is a lot, actually. I went way back for one. 1761. This struck me as interesting. The Third Battle of Panapat, or Panapat. In one of the largest battles of the 18th century, the mostly Muslim Afghan Durrani Empire defeats the mostly Hindu Maratha Empire in northern India. An estimated 60 to 70,000 people are killed in the fighting, and about 40,000 Maratha prisoners are massacred afterward. Whew! I mean, a bloody battle back in 1761.
I wonder what they were fighting with, too. Probably
swords.
That's
kind of what I was getting at. In 1799, American inventor Eli Whitney received a government contract for 10,000 muskets. So that was 30 years later. I mean, you think that was a bow and arrow and a sword and a hand-to-hand combat?
Likely.
Battle?
Yeah. Cavalry, those types of things.
Between the Muslims and the Hindu in India back in 1761. 1943, World War II going on. Franklin Delano Roosevelt travels from Miami to Morocco to meet with Winston Churchill, becoming the first United States president to fly overseas, travel overseas by airplane. 1956, Little Richard tickling the ivories and singing into the microphone. He debuted Tutti Frutti. Are there songs that you look back and you're like, how was that a hit?
Yeah, a bunch of them. Right. And
Tutti Frutti. Oh, Rudy. Tutti Frutti. I mean,
didn't have to have much.
All right,
got
there's
everybody's
number one.
feet moving, yeah.
1960, the United States Army promoted Elvis Presley to the rank of sergeant. This day in 1963, not the finest day for the state of Alabama. George Wallace was sworn in as governor of Alabama, and in his inaugural address, he stated, "Segregation now, segregation tomorrow, segregation forever." Sonny and Cher in 1967 released the single "The Beat Goes On." And the beat goes on. Yeah. 1968 Super Bowl II at Miami's Orange Bowl Stadium. Packers, Raiders. The aforementioned John Madden roaming the sideline for the Oakland Raiders. Packers over the Raiders 33-14. Bart Starr, your MVP. So in 1973, 13 years after he was promoted to sergeant in the Army, Elvis Presley, Aloha from Hawaii via satellite. Concert was broadcast live to Asia and Oceania and on delay to Europe and the United States, and it became the most watched broadcast by an individual entertainer ever. An entertainer that made a change in his career, David Letterman, 1993. This was a big deal at the time. He made the move from NBC to CBS, The Late Show with David Letterman. And finally, 1 year ago today, the United States Department of Justice releases the report that Special Counsel Jack Smith put together on former and future President Donald Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 election. Trump responds on social media 1 year ago today, calling Smith deranged and a lame brain. And the truth of the matter is, generally speaking, if you're on the left, you agree with basically everything that Jack Smith said, and if you're on the right, you were like, yeah, go get him, Mr. President-elect. Even if you would prefer the level of decorum to be slightly higher by the president. So who was right? Turns out Donald Trump was kind of right. Was the election legitimate? Sure. In terms of we had a legitimate democratic election that runs the way it's supposed to run. But do you know how little coverage the news has given to the clear IDing of fraud that was going on in that 2020 election? Oh, well, these ballots were run twice and they were counted. Oh, these ballots were destroyed and were never counted. How convenient. Now, when you say that in real time, you're an election denier. But when you're later proven to be right, people's memories seem to get a little fun. I don't remember exactly how all that played out. Mornings with Richard Cross with you on SuperTalk Mississippi, streaming online at supertalk.fm and SuperTalk TV. The accused shooter, who killed 6 people in a multi-stop mass shooting in Clay County over the weekend, has pleaded not guilty. That was yesterday in court as state prosecutors are seeking the death penalty for Derica Moore. He appeared in front of a Clay County judge. Clay County Circuit Judge Jim Kitchens entered a not guilty plea to 11 charges, including capital murder, first-degree murder, attempted murder of a child, attempted sexual battery, burglary, and theft of a motor vehicle. Moore is accused of going on a 4.5-hour murder rampage on Friday afternoon and evening that took the lives of his father, brother, uncle, 7-year-old cousin, a church pastor, and the pastor's brother. Shooting happened at 3 different locations in the Cedar Bluff community of Clay County, just outside of West Point. He was arrested at a police roadblock in the area just before midnight because he has been charged with capital murder. State of Mississippi says you are not allowed bail, no bond. And so he will sit in jail awaiting his trial. And Scott Colomb, the district attorney for Clay County, has said he will seek the death penalty. St. Dominic Hospital has a new service offering around-the-clock care for expectant mothers. The Jackson-based medical center opened the doors to its obstetrics emergency department, the OBED, or the OB-ED, a first-of-its-kind service for the hospital. The OB-ED provides emergency care for expectant mothers 20 weeks and beyond, as well as women's up to 6 weeks postpartum. According to a release from the hospital, the new 8-bed OBED, I need to figure out how we're...
Abed.
Abed? That's what we're going with?
Yeah, I think so.
By the way, when did hospitals get away from the ER and go to the ED?
Good question.
I mean, it's always been, hey, ever go to the
Emergency
ER?
department, yeah.
Emergency department. So whether it's a sudden complication or urgent medical attention, the St. Dom OB-ED team is equipped with advanced technology and the expertise to respond swiftly. Specialized units staffed at all hours, certified OBGYNs offering faster assessment, treatment, and discharge compared to a general emergency room. So good on St. Dom. Quick timeout. Back with you in just a few minutes. Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi.
From the Seabrook.com.
Want to know what's happening in Mississippi politics?
Yes.
You're in the right place. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
But when I close my eyes late at night, you can bet I thank my maker. She keeps on loving me, loves me the way I am. She's not just along for the ride, she's my biggest fan.
So Lance, when you play something like this, I'm supposed to talk, but I feel like I just want to sit and listen for a bit.
Well, you better be glad, because it was either that or In the Heat of the Night intro song from the show, because Carl Weathers was in that too. So I decided to go with a little of the Red Clay Strays, one of my favorites.
So good. So good. One more news update for you before we jump into your morning sports update. Maybe a couple. The Mississippi Senate unanimously, which feels like a big deal. Anytime everybody in the Senate is on the page about the same thing, that's a good deal. Unanimously passed a bill on Monday of this week to reimburse the state's National Guard members for costs associated with their health care premiums. Lieutenant Governor Hoseman referred to the TRICARE Act that they were going to pass, and they did exactly that. The author of the bill was Senator Jeff Tate from Meridian. He told the chamber, "It's a simple bill. What this is going to do is it's a bill that allows our traditional guardsmen to be reimbursed for their health care. Pretty straightforward. Senate Bill 2018, which now heads to the House for consideration, would establish what's called the Mississippi National Guard TRICARE Premium Reimbursement Program. The program is designed to help National Guard members pay for their premiums associated with TRICARE, the military health program. The only qualifiers for National Guard members to receive reimbursements are that they are actively drilling and not obtaining health insurance from another employer. The Adjutant General of the Mississippi National Guard will be responsible for administering the program with funding based on future legislative appropriations. According to the text of the bill, the goal is not only to help National Guard members with health care costs, but to retain qualified personnel in the Mississippi National Guard. Well done, Senate. Hopefully this will be a slam dunk on the House side as well. And we can tip our caps to our National Guardsmen. Mississippi oil man and Adams County Supervisor Kevin Wilson has officially lost his campaign for Congress to hopefully run in the general election against Congressman Benny Thompson in Legislative District 2, Congressional District 2. The Republican is the state's largest independent oil and natural gas producer, serving his second term as a supervisor, and has spent the last 2 years as president of the county board. Didn't delve too much into his public policy during the kickoff. He has said his focus was going to be on the basics: roads, infrastructure, public safety, responsible use of tax dollars. And he's talked a lot about his private sector background and the success of a company that he built from the ground up as being a reason that he has felt called to run for this congressional seat. He's got to win the Republican primary, which is coming up on March 10th, before potentially meeting Lord Benny in the November general election. He's going to face Ron Eller, a cardiothoracic physician assistant in Jackson, who was the GOP nominee in 24 before losing to Thompson, is also running. Benny Thompson actually being challenged in the primary as well. Evan Turnage, attorney that went to Yale Law School with ties to some of Washington's most powerful Democrats, is running. Curtis Williams III is as well, and Benny Foster is the lone independent in the race.
Going to be a horse race there.
Yeah. You're going to have to spend some money.
Yeah. First time in a while. Maybe it'll be a pretty deep field in that District 2. Hey, being a landowner over there, I'm anxious to watch this one.
Amen. I mean, I wouldn't get your hopes up too high.
No. You're starting to see, though. I think people are paying attention. How many times have we invited Benny Thompson on the show? I know you have openly many times.
Standing invitation, Lord Benny.
Hopefully we'll get an opportunity with that, with a crowded field, and we'll see, huh?
I'm not going to get my hopes up either, but an open, standing invitation. I've said it a number of times. We will move around whatever is going on to make way for Lord Benny to come in. Absolutely would do that. Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank, communitybank.net, rooted in our community. Hoops! 3 games last night on the docket in the SEC. In Knoxville, where I was, double overtime. Tennessee 87, Texas A&M 82. A freshman for Tennessee who has been good may have had his coming out party last night. Nate Ament. He was a top 5 player nationally, and he took over in that game last night in overtime. A pair of late games, including the Red Elephants of the University of Alabama making their way into Starkville. And early it looked good for Mississippi State. Double-digit lead for the Bulldogs. Alabama took a 2-point lead into the locker room, 36-34, and then they walloped the Dogs in the second half, outscoring them by 13, 97-82 the final. A 15-point loss at home for Mississippi State. A chore for the Bulldogs last night. Had his hands full down low. He had 8 points, 5 rebounds. Leading scorer, once again, top scorer in the SEC, actually, Josh Hubbard, 23 points on 6 of 16 shooting. He hit 3 threes in 10 attempts in the game last night. And then one other game last night in the SEC. Florida went to Norman, Oklahoma, and they kind of put the whoop down, kind of put the beat down on the Oklahoma Sooners. 96-79 was the final in that one. It was not particularly close. I don't know if they had a good crowd at the beginning of that game. But, Lance, when I tell you, and look, I mean, the game was over with 10 minutes to play, and I know it was a later start. But you would expect a few hundred or a couple of thousand maybe to still be scattered about the gymnasium, even in a blowout. Brother, if there were 75 people in that 12,000-seat arena when the final horn sounded, I will give you $100.
It was cricket time, huh?
I mean, crickets.
And that's hard in a basketball game. I mean, because you got a perfect setting. You get the roof over you. It's warm and nice. All the, accoutrement you need, and no reason to leave early, huh?
Got a bunch on the docket tonight. Ole Miss in Georgia, 6 o'clock on ESPNU. Stegman Coliseum in Athens. Auburn on the road against the Missouri Tigers. Kentucky is at LSU. Vanderbilt is at Texas. Vanderbilt ranked 10th in the country. 16-0.
Have you seen them play yet? I mean,
I have.
Yeah. What do they
Called
look
one of
like?
their games.
Yeah,
They're good.
They are. Yeah. At 16-0, you kind of have to be. But that's one of those. Vandy was such a basketball school for so long.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I think they're pretty excited to get it. Man, Vandy's living a pretty charmed life right now.
Man, aren't they?
10-win season in football. Baseball program steady as she goes. And basketball back winning again.
I had a buddy of mine that played linebacker up there back in the 90s, and he was a great player. And, you couldn't see this coming then. I mean, that's what's so amazing about the Vanderbilt of today versus, say, the 90s and 2000s. It was hard to see this coming, I think. And then all of a sudden, boom! Seemed like
you
baseball.
start investing, and then you finally start getting results. And big news yesterday from the NFL. Mike Tomlin has stepped down as the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, ending a 19-year run in which he never had a losing season.
So he and Harbaugh, the granddaddies of the league, are gone.
Yeah.
Their respective jobs. So you think it would take long for somebody to hire Tomlin?
No, but he is not expected to coach anywhere in 2026.
Okay.
He's 53 years old. Steelers announced Tomlin's decision yesterday afternoon, saying his track record will likely never be duplicated. Tomlin said in a statement that he decided to step down after much thought and reflection. Quote, "This organization has been a huge part of my life for many years, and it has been an absolute honor to lead this team. I'm deeply grateful to Art Rooney II and the late Ambassador Rooney for their trust and support. I am also thankful to the players who gave everything they had every day, and to the coaches and staff whose commitment and dedication made this journey so meaningful." He thanks the fans as well. Mike Tomlin, what a run in Pittsburgh. We're back with you right after this.
To believe in this living is just a hard way to go.
From the Venable Glass Traffic Center.
Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Welcome to the show.
Millions jackpot is starting to get right. Did we have a winner last night? As a matter of fact, we did not. The estimated jackpot for Friday's Mega Million drawing up to $230 million with an estimated cash value now of over $100 million. 105.1? 105,100,000. Last night's Mega Millions numbers were 16, 40, 56, 64, 66 with a mega ball of 4. Powerball drawing coming up tonight, $156 million is the jackpot for that one now with an estimated cash value of $70.5 million. You had some big wins on Cash 4 tickets. I told you this yesterday, but kind of a cool story. Double quad drawings. There have been more than 500 winning tickets so far. Friday night hit with a quad 4 and a fireball of 4. And then Monday's midday drawing followed it up with a 1-1-1-1 with a fireball of 1. If you played Cash 4, don't wait. Scan your ticket to see if you're one of the lucky winners. Download the Mississippi Lottery app to check your tickets anytime, anywhere. I mean, just a bunch of winners. And then on a $5 scratch-off, double the money, a Starkville man won $100,000 on a ticket from Sprint Mart 4134 in Starkville. So congratulations to all of the winners. That is your Mississippi Lottery update brought to you by the Mississippi Lottery online at mslottery.com. And don't forget about the Mississippi Lottery app. I've been holding on to this, and maybe we'll come back to it at the end of the show. I can't wait any longer. Yesterday, I mean, it was one of those tales of truth is stranger than fiction. In our nation's capital, in the hallowed halls of the Supreme Court. They were hearing the case over transgenders in sports. You know, boys playing girls' sports. Don't have a lot of examples of girls trying to play boys' sports, but, you know. This is the Leah Thomas story and so many others, and the left is so wrapped up in, oh, it's got to be fair for everyone. Well, it's not fair for everyone. The line of questioning between the ACLU attorney, between Justice Alito and the ACLU attorney was remarkable. Alito asked the question, what does it mean to be a boy or a girl, a man or a woman? And the ACLU used a lot of words, and then the attorney ultimately said, we do not have a definition for the court. Samuel Alito followed up with, how can a court determine whether there's discrimination on the basis of sex without knowing what sex means? I need you to define woman for me. I'm sorry, sir, we can't do that. Well, how can you claim discrimination if you can't even define what a woman is, you moron? He didn't say you moron. I was editorializing there just a little bit. This should be the most open and shut case. It should be a unanimous 9-0 opinion from the Supreme Court. It probably will not be. There was one legal analyst on Fox this morning that pointed to Neil Gorsuch as somebody to watch in this. Neil Gorsuch, a somewhat conservative justice, because he has ruled that in the case of workplace discrimination, that the role of transgenders does come into play. But I certainly would argue that even this is different. We're talking about anatomical, physiological differences. You were born with a certain DNA. You are either born with the DNA of a boy or the DNA of a girl. And if you were born with the DNA of a boy, then your physiological makeup, your skeletal makeup is different than that of those who are born with DNA of a female. It is an indisputable scientific fact. And isn't it the left that tells us to follow the science? Isn't that what we heard over and over and over during COVID? Follow the science. Okay, we'll follow the science. Well, but we don't really want you to follow the science in this particular case. Hopefully this lunacy will soon come to an end for good. 7 o'clock hour on the way. The news is next.
People may try to guess the secret of a happy...
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
Find out what's happening across your state. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Well, a good dog on the ground's worth 3 in the saddle, no matter where you're from. Been many good dog was a friend to a man, but Sam was the greatest one. He was a hound of hounds, he was the wonder of all walkers. He loved howling at the moon, he loved treeing that raccoon. Most of all, he was my best friend, and he's gone too soon. He was a run of the litter, but a plenty mean pup. Put Sam on the scent, and he never let up. Spent his nights on the porch chewing on a bare
Good
bone.
Wednesday morning to you. 7 o'clock hour on Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi. Thanks for joining us. We are presented by Community Bank. We're more than just a place to manage your money. We're your neighbors, your partners, and your trusted financial advisors. For decades, we've been rooted in our community, helping families, small businesses, and individuals achieve their dreams. Whether it's opening your first savings account, planning for a brighter future, or growing your business, we're here every step of the way. We're dedicated to our customers, committed to your success, and always here when you need us. Community Bank, rooted in our community. Member FDIC. Alongside Lance Tolbert, I'm Richard Cross. Appreciate you joining us as you start your day on kind of a gray day across the state of Mississippi. Rain in some places. Maybe give yourself just a few extra minutes as you get out the door and get kids to school or get yourself to work this morning. We'd love to hear from you on the C Spire text line, 601-879-4395. Give your business the edge with gigabit fiber internet from C Spire. They've got a business IT services team that is there to help with all of your needs, whatever your business. Learn more at cspire.com. C-Spire, customer inspired. And we remind you that the 7 o'clock hour of the show every day is brought to you by MWG Employer Services. Running a business is tough, and if you're struggling with HR, benefits, and payroll, you're not alone. That's where MWG Employer Services comes in. They can provide a full range of employer services and a custom plan that fits you. Give them a call today, 601-206-7966, or go to MWG Employer Services. We continue to get some more information about the man charged with setting Mississippi's oldest synagogue ablaze on Saturday night. The suspect accused of setting the Jewish synagogue, the Beth Israel Synagogue in Jackson, identified on Monday of this week as 19-year-old Spencer Pittman. He is facing up to 20 years in prison on federal charges and was indicted by a grand jury on Tuesday on state charges, which could bring more time behind bars. Authorities with the FBI and local law enforcement agencies announced that Pittman was arrested Saturday night for setting the Beth Israel congregation on fire that morning. Beth Israel has existed for more than 165 years and is the only Jewish synagogue in the capital city. The fire charred the synagogue's office and library. 2 Torahs, the central and most sacred text in Judaism, inside the library were destroyed. 5 Torahs inside the sanctuary are being examined for smoke damage. There is one that is of particular importance that survived the Holocaust. It was behind a glass enclosure and made it out with no damage. Good news on that front. And also good news that because of the time that this happened, no congregants were injured in the fire. When firefighters responded to the scene, they determined that the blaze had been intentionally set. Pittman, who self-admitted himself to the University of Mississippi Medical Center with multiple burn wounds, was identified as the suspect and was later arrested. Reports are that there was clear video footage of Pittman, allegedly, applying gasoline to areas in the library after breaking in through a window with an axe. Pittman, who law enforcement said targeted the property because of its Jewish ties, has been charged at the federal level with arson of property used in interstate commerce or used in an activity affecting interstate commerce. And then at the state level, he's facing first-degree arson charges with a hate crime enhancement. He's now in custody of the United States Marshals, scheduled to appear in court again on January 20th, so a week from yesterday. So what do we know about Spencer Pittman? 19 years old, from Madison, went to St. Joe's Catholic School before attending Coahoma Community College and playing as a member of their baseball team. By the way, Coahoma has removed from the official roster the name of Spencer Pittman. Per his social media, he grew up playing baseball and professed a Christian faith. But his Instagram got a little weird, and his post took a sharp turn in late 2025. Back on October 9th, he posted a typical photo of himself playing baseball at Coahoma. His next post, though, which occurred on the 13th of December, shows Pittman engaging in a vulgar gesture with the captions, "Money is the root of all evil. Hate hates growth." And then his post grew darker, including him showcasing himself driving at 160 miles an hour, boasting about an apparent day trading operation and signaling a far-right political lean, among other peculiar activities. Our news team spoke to a source who knows the Pittman family that said the suspect was not raised in a household where anti-Semitic views were the norm or hateful views were the norm. The source asserted that Pittman had undergone some sort of behavioral change during the prior academic semester, that he was likely not going back to college for this spring semester, and that his parents had intended to get psychiatric help for him. The source told SuperTalk Mississippi News, quote, "I've known Pittman since he was born. He was not raised that way. He comes from an affluent background and neighborhood. He went to St. Joe. Something changed this past semester, and he was not returning to school. His parents are in the medical profession, and we're going to use the time to get him some help." Unfortunately, that help did not come soon enough. There were jokes about Jews on his Instagram and social media feeds. And then there was kind of a disturbing screenshot of text messages from his father that were on Pittman's phone. His father turning the text messages over. He sent his father a picture of Beth Israel and said, "There's a furnace in the back." by the way, my plate is off, referring to the license plate on his car. He said, hoodie is on. And then he said, and they have the best cameras. They are over $100,000 each. So he knew when he was committing this act that it was going to be filmed. Pittman's father, upon seeing his son after the incident, spotted burns all over his body, including on his hands, his face, and his feet. The suspect is said to have laughed when telling his father that he started the fire, bragging that, quote, he finally got them, close quote. Pittman's father contacted the FBI to inform him that his son had admitted to the crime. Life 360 is an app that a lot of people have on their phones. If you're a parent, perhaps you have that so you can keep up with where your kids are. Data from a Life 360 map showed that Pittman was at Beth Israel at the time of the fire. Officials from all over Mississippi and even at the federal level have responded, supporting the Jewish community, supporting the Beth Israel congregation community, and decrying this awful act of hate. Lance, this is a tough one.
Yeah.
I mean, we would use a word like normal, and maybe that's not the appropriate word, but seemingly normal young man, family from the outside looking in, and yet so much hate built up that would cause a 19-year-old to ruin the rest of his life by setting fire to a Jewish synagogue. Just awful. Absolutely awful. And now the justice system will do its work. Senator Dennis DeBar will join us coming up next. He's chair of the Senate Education Committee. Much to discuss with him, and we look forward to that conversation on the other side of this timeout. Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank.
From the Venable Glass Traffic.
From the White House to your hometown, this is where you find out what's happening. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Well, my daddy never wrote in the old famous country song. Papa never stayed out raising hell with the Haggard Jones. But he raised a proud coal miner's daughter, and I'm proud to be her son. She told me, boy, I don't care if you hit it big, because you're already number one.
Thanks for joining us this morning. It is Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi. Glad to be with you. We welcome your messages on the C Spire text line, 601-879-4395. Happy to welcome our first guest this morning, Senator Dennis DeBar. He represents District 43, that is George, Greene, and Wayne counties, and he is chair of the Senate Education Committee. Mr. Chairman, good morning. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us.
Well, good morning. Glad to be here.
Obviously, with all of the discussion in the months leading up to the start of this 2026 session, education has been the biggest topic, and it is a topic that has many, many opinions. I'm curious, you've been pretty steady in your support of, well, I want to be careful how I say this. I don't want to put words in your mouth. You have not been for universal school choice and have suggested, I think, that many of your constituents are not as well. Kind of walk us through, just to start, your position on where we are in this education freedom school choice conversation.
Well, I think, as you have seen so far, we passed Senate Bill 2002 that basically aligns my position as well as the Senate Lieutenant Governor's that we're for school choice. We have school choice in Mississippi already. The portability that we have school choice for our military personnel, active military, and so we have school choice. my concern with the vouchers is, depends how you define school choice. That's my first question. Anybody asks me, what does school choice mean to you? And if it's the vouchers, my position, and I think the position of the Senate, is that right now that's not something that is a doable at this point. So we passed what we think is a valid, a good step to allowing parents have control over their child's education, and that's where we're at this point.
I think one of the biggest points of contention for a lot of people has been the public to private transfer and the money piece of that, whether or not and I don't even know if we're using the right words when we say it this way. Taxpayer dollars, public money, if you will, would follow a student to private school. And there are many that argue, I'm paying taxes, and the money that I'm paying should follow my student wherever they choose. And then there are others that say, no. We shouldn't be funding private schools with public money. What is your particular opposition to the taxpayer dollars going to help fund students that choose to be in private schools?
Well, I think that there's really three main points I have with that. The first is the constitutional issue. Section 208 of our Mississippi Constitution says no public funds shall be appropriated to non-public schools. And so what I think the House has done is they put the cart before the horse. I think we need to clarify the constitutional issue on that, because if we were to pass vouchers this year, whatever it is, whatever number it is, there's going to be lawsuits filed by the left-wing groups out there challenging it. And so that will wind its way through the court system for 2 years or so before we finally get a resolution. If we were to put it on the ballot this fall and have the people vote on that, then we can come back and next session and pass something if the voters so choose to change it to amend the Constitution. But that's not happened here. So the other 2 points I have on that is, I've kept an open mind. I've listened to both groups talk about this issue and state their positions. And for 2 years, I've asked for data. What the states that have done this, how has that improved educational outcomes? And for 2 years, I've got no data to support that. We've researched ourselves, the Lieutenant Governor's office and I, and there's nothing to support the educational outcomes of these students that go public to private is improved. And lastly, I would say, is the fiscal issue. Right now, we have about 60,000, give or take, that are homeschooled and are in private schools. And the base student cost for each student roughly is $7,000. So we're looking at over $400 million once fully implemented, costing the state. And that's not one-time money. That's reoccurring revenue every year. And that's not including the students that are currently in public schools that would leave. So it could be more. And so, what we've tried to do in the Senate, whether it be income tax reform or teacher pay raises, is yes, let's look at all these issues, but what is the fiscal impact on the budget? And we've been very cautious and conservative, whether it be teacher pay raise, income tax reform going forward. So it's to not impact the budget in a negative way.
One of the concerns that I've had and one of the questions that I've asked is kind of what you raised about the fiscal piece of that. You talk about the 60,000 that are either homeschooled or currently in private schools. And most of the conversation has been around, okay, would the money follow a student who is going from a public school to a private school? And I've kind of raised the question, well, what about the kids that are already in private schools? If you allow money to follow students who are making a transfer, what about those kids that are already in private schools? Don't you have to allocate the same number of dollars to them? And
right.
I guess the closest thing to an answer I've gotten is, well, it would be a phased approach. It wouldn't be something that happens all at once.
Yeah, and I would think that would be the case. You can't just not give it to those kids already in private school. I mean, I think that's a lawsuit in the making. Well, you have to treat everybody equally. And so, the thing about private schools is, I think the House bill, there's no accountability. And so, it's not level playing field between public and private. And that may be a good thing. But, if we're going to spend taxpayer dollars and allow it to be spent then I'd like to at least have some accountability, some way for the auditor to say the money's being spent as it should be, because I don't want to sit here and pass something like that would 10 years from now and we end up having a scandal like the TANF scandal. I want to make sure the money is being appropriated and that we have some accountability of that money.
The issue of school choice, of universal school choice, is one that is high on the list for a lot of Republicans. The president has spoken in favor of it. The Department of Education under Secretary McMahon seems to be in favor of it. The governor is in favor of it, or at least has said that he is publicly. The Speaker of the House is. Why is this different on the Senate side? Why is it different for you than it is for so many others within your party?
Well, first, I think it's a great thing that education is being discussed. I mean, if you look at the House bill, a lot of the topics in that bill are being addressed by the Senate this year, whether it be math, 4th through 8th graders with literacy. We've got a bill. Senator Boyd's got a bill on the math, and Daniel Sparks has got a bill on financial literacy. And we're addressing, I've got the Tim Tebow bill, which I file every year. So we're addressing many of those topics. When I talk about school, when I talk to my constituents back home in my 3 counties, it's not, hey, we want school choice, we want vouchers, we want property tax reform, we want help us with our ad valorem for our car tags, we want affordable health insurance. It's not, hey, give me some money so I can, homeschool my kids or send my kids to private school. I mean, that's important to them, and I understand it, but it's just not. I can count on one hand the number of people in my district that have talked to me about this issue. And so it makes me wonder, if the people of Mississippi aren't talking about this, then where is this coming from? Is it these out-of-state groups? Is it interest groups? I don't know. And so I think that needs to be looked into.
One of the interesting things about this entire conversation to me is that even if there's a disagreement on how this should be implemented or what school choice would look like, it does feel like, and maybe for the first time ever, that all of the groups are coming together saying education is important and doing what we need for K through 12 education in Mississippi. Maybe the outcome that people want is different, but it does seem like what is best for children in Mississippi is at the forefront. Do you see that?
Absolutely. I think Governor Reeves was correct when he stated, I believe, just recently that the policies that we implemented back starting in 2012, going through this present day, to allow teachers to teach, to allow administrators to administer, has done a great thing. And because of the teachers and the work that our administrators are doing, we have risen up to where we are. And that's why everybody says we have the Mississippi miracle. I don't think it's a miracle. I think it's the hard work of our teachers, administrators, and our students. And so we just need to continue on the same path, and I think we're doing that.
Senate has already passed 3 bills related to education. We'll talk about what is in those on the other side of this break. Dennis DeBar is chair of the Senate Education Committee. He's my guest. It's Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi. Short break. We're back with you right after this.
Sleepless nights, I'm just not good out for your downtown life. I could change, but that's not who I am. So bye-bye, Birmingham. Bye-bye, Birmingham.
From the Seabrook.com.
This segment of Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Mama's gonna wash all away. She thinks mercy's overrated.
We're back. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi. Senator Chairman of the Senate Education Committee, Dennis DeBar, is my guest. You mentioned something a second ago that kind of raised my antenna. The Tim Tebow bill. You said you would introduce that again this year. It's something that you've done in the past as well. That's the bill, if I remember correctly, that would allow students who are homeschooled to participate in extracurricular activities at public schools. That one does not seemed to me to be terribly controversial. Why has it not gotten across the finish line?
Just various, talk to different senators, and there's just various issues with that, and so, I'm going to work on it again this year and try to bring it out. I've filed it every year. I think this is my 7th year in a row, picking up the mantle from then Senator Michael Watson, and he would file it every year. And, I don't see what the major issues with that would be. I've heard the issues, but we'll just keep working on it and see if we can get it passed out this year.
So on the first day of the session this year, the Senate passed 3 education-related bills, 2001, 2002, 2003. 2001 primarily addressed pay raises for teachers. When the Lieutenant Governor was on with us earlier this week, he said he thought that $2,000 pay raise that was in this bill for K through 12 teachers, professors, associate professors, assistant professors, course instructors at community colleges and 4-year schools as well, was a starting point in the conversation. Do you see room for that number to grow beyond the $2,000?
I certainly hope so. This also includes teacher assistants as well. That's kind of what happened in 2022. We started out a low number like that, and eventually we got up to 5,000, roughly, an average of 5,000. So this goes back to what I said earlier, is when we introduce something or talk about spending money, we do it in a fiscally conservative way, with a hope of, in this case, increasing that close to $5,000. We may get there, we may not, but we're certainly going to look at it. But $2,000 is the floor. It's not going to go lower than that, and we hope to increase it, moving forward.
Senate Bill 2002 addresses the portability issues, and it kind of formalizes the process that would allow students to transfer from one district to another district. Are there any caveats in that bill? Is there anything that stands out that makes that unique?
Well, this is what it is. Is it's something that's occurring already and has been occurring for decades. Is that students transfer public school or districts, and the Department of Education did a survey last year when the vast majority of districts are allowing students to transfer. And so what we're doing, it's a revenue neutral bill. It allows currently, both school districts, the sending and receiving school district, have to give approval for a student to transfer. All we're doing is removing the sending district's veto power. And so we're not changing anything else. Students will have to declare by March 15th of every year if they're going to transfer or not. And, like I said, this is something that's been going on for years. And so the opposition to that, I don't see as a really valid argument, because if there have been problems in the past, there has been legislation to stop it or correct it. And so, I think the arguments made against it basically is a slippery slope to vouchers, which I don't see happening, as I said earlier. But this has been occurring for years, and I don't see it being a major issue.
What about the cost related to that, the per student money that is coming from the state? And I'm just using it as an example because it's right there close to the Capitol. If a student that's in Hinds County chose to transfer to a school district in Madison County, for example, would the allocation of dollars remain in Hinds County, or would it follow that student to Madison County?
It will follow the student. Wherever the student enrolls in the fall, that's where the money is going to be.
And then Senate Bill 2003. This is about retired teachers coming back into the workforce. It's one that on the surface seems to make a lot of sense and maybe is a little more attractive for retired teachers, maybe helps address the teacher shortage as well, because if I read that correctly, it would allow retired teachers to make 65% without affecting their retirement income. Is that the best way to describe that?
That's correct. We got about 3,800. We're about 3,800 short in teachers throughout the state, and so this is something they started Senator David Parker back in 24, and we're expanding it to where from 50 to 65% they can receive the 65% of the salary, and it includes not just retired teachers. It includes any retiree, that PERS retiree that can come back, and so. A lawyer, or anybody that's retired from the state and work for MDOT can come back and and help fill the void and reduce teacher shortage. So this will help PERS because PERS will be paid into by the school district, the 28%, which is the employer contribution and the employee contribution. So we're hoping we can get more participation. We hope we can reduce the teacher shortage. If not, we'll come back in the next year or two and try to, fix it again, make it more enticing.
But that would only be for retirees from PERS going in as teachers. It wouldn't apply to other industries, right?
Right. It has to be a PERS retiree, yes.
But I guess that's what I mean. So to use your example, you said an MDOT employee that is retired, if they wanted to come back, they could go and teach, but it doesn't mean a retired MDOT employee could go and work for another state agency. This is
correct.
Specifically for teachers.
Specifically for teachers. If you're a retiree out of PERS, you can come back and be a teacher, not an administrator. You can come back and be a teacher and collect up to 65% of your pay and still earn your retirement from PERS.
I don't know if this is a direct quote from you, but I think the essence of the quote is, hey, this is the first step, especially with Senate Bill 2002 on the portability issue, but it's also the only step that it looks like the Senate is willing to make. I always ask about compromise, whether I'm talking with someone on the Senate side or the House side. Hey, maybe you start a long way apart on an issue, and hopefully you can get to legislation that can be enacted where you kind of meet in the middle. Where is there room for compromise in your mind in this conversation?
Well, when it comes to the vouchers, really, that's kind of why we rushed out and pushed out our position last week, is we want people to understand this is our position, and I don't think there's any room for negotiation on that at this point. We believe that students can transfer public to public, and that's as far as we're willing to go at this point. Now there are facets of House Bill 2, like the Tim Tebow and the math legislation, the literacy legislation, that we do support, and you're going to see standalone bills coming from the Senate addressing those. But the problem, there's multiple problems with the vouchers, but House Bill 2 is really, at this point, I got a note from our Legislative Budget Office as introduced cuts, the funding formula for pre-K, $133 million. And that's what the LBO provided this last night. Now, I think the House is going to address that in their committee hearing today. But if they're going to be cutting $133 million from pre-K, that's a non-starter. That has helped. Early education has provided the gains that we have in our state, and you can see that in our NAEP scores. Our third grade reading gate has shown that, and so we're not cutting early pre-K or early education, and so that's kind of, if they need to fix that for sure.
Have you spoken with any of your House colleagues about why they went with an omnibus that had all of this in a single bill that requires a yes or no vote versus smaller bills that address issues individually?
I spoke to several House colleagues. I think there's various reasons for an omnibus bill. I think it's to bring issues, or I guess that people support, and make it more difficult to vote against the bill. And so
you think it's a strategy more than anything else?
I think so, but I can't say for sure. Representative Owen and Speaker White, I don't want to speculate on what they were thinking, but I would think so.
Where does this end?
Well, I think the Senate has laid out their position, and everybody knows what it is, and I think that's kind of where we're at. And so I think we compromise and work together on the issues we do agree on, and then work on the issues we don't.
Do you think the compromise happens on those individual bills, or does it happen in some sort of a rewrite of House Bill 2 where the things that you agree on end up being part of one big bill, or is it more, okay, maybe Senate Bill 2001 and 2003 work, but 2002 we can't come to an agreement on? What you have a guess there?
Well, I think we just need to work through the process, and see what happens. I think like I said, we have our positions, and we hope we're going to stick to them at this point.
Senator Dennis DeBar, Chair of the Senate Education Committee, I thank you for your time this morning. Good catching up, and
Thank you.
Hopefully we can talk again soon.
Yeah, great to be here. I want to talk about Deuce Knight and Jace Matthews going to Ole Miss from Greene County and George County. That's what I thought I was here for.
You know, I actually did the Auburn-Mercer game. I was the play-by-play broadcaster on that game, and Deuce Knight was incredible on that Saturday.
Well, you got two great kids, great families, good character men coming to Ole Miss. I'm looking forward to seeing them lighten it up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
From the Venable Glass.
Mississippi.
Good morning, everybody. Time to wake up.
Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
A lot of messages coming in on the C-Spire text line, 601-879-4395. It's Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank, online at communitybank.net. Community Bank, rooted in our community. Alongside Lance Tolbert, I'm Richard Cross. Glad to be with you this morning. I want to say again, I appreciate the time from Chairman DeBar. I'm sorry that we disappointed him by not talking more football. I got a couple of Greene County Stars that are headed to Oxford in the future. That was fun interaction there at the end. So what did we learn from the conversation with the chairman of the Senate Education Committee? I don't know that there was a lot of breaking news or new ground that was covered, but you did hear the chairman not only kind of outline his position and why he believes what he believes about school choice, but also I think you get a pretty clear indicator of where the Senate is going forward in this session. We know that Speaker White has been adamantly for universal school choice, including allowing the money to follow students from public schools to private schools. They've talked about a phased approach in terms of allowing that money to move over. And in terms of the numbers of students that would be able to take advantage of that in year 1, year 2, year 3, and so on. It does not sound, and I don't know that Senator DeBar could have made it much more clear, that there's an appetite for anything beyond what the Senate has said they are willing to do so far, and that is portability from public district to public district. One question that we got was, is the portability bill just for teachers' kids and active military kids? The answer to that is no. Senate Bill 2002 opens portability for everyone. And you've heard the lieutenant governor and you heard the chairman say as well that, hey, we've got public-to-public transfer, and we do, but it's not formalized. Right? There is public district to public district transfer opportunity all over the state of Mississippi, but it's not a policy that is in place where the rules are exactly the same for every school district. And as it exists right now, the district that houses a current student that wants to move to another district has the ability to say, no, we will not release you. I'll use an example of where I live. 2 high-performing public schools within the same county, Lafayette County, where you have the Oxford School District and the Lafayette County School District. If a student wants to transfer from one to the other, and let's just say it's for athletic reasons, well, the district that currently houses the student that wants to transfer could say, no, I'm not going to allow this power forward that scores 30 a game to leave my school and go play for the other school. I'm not going to sign off on that. Well, Senate Bill 2002 would take the ability away, take the veto power away from the district that has the student currently that wants to transfer to another district. One area where there is a lot of variation is in terms of fees associated with transferring. If you're in a district and you want to go to another district, the receiving district can charge a fee. And that could be a fee that's as little as $250 to accept a new student into their district, up to $2,500 or $5,000 for receiving a new district in a new district. And remember, capacity limitations are in place. A receiving district will not have the ability to say, no, we don't want you, unless they don't have the physical capacity to take on a student that wants to come in from another district. So while, yes, district-to-district transfer has been in place, it is not a formalized process. Senate Bill 2002 would do that going forward. There doesn't seem to be a lot of pushback on the idea of teacher pay raises. I was encouraged by what Senator DeBar said about the $2,000 pay raise being a floor or a starting point, with a hope that that number could be closer to $5,000, like the teacher pay raise that went into effect in 2022. Hopefully that is indeed the case. 8 o'clock hour, we've got a lot more on the way, including about 20 minutes from right now, a conversation with Senator Roger Wicker. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi. Thanks for being with us on this Wednesday, the 14th of January.
Will stand my ground, and I won't back down.
Start your day right.
Good morning, America. How are you?
Honestly, I have no idea.
Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Somebody told me when I first got to Nashville, oh, she finally got it made. Old Hank made it here. We're all sure that you will.
Middle of the week into the 8 o'clock hour, the workday for almost everyone has officially begun. So if you're still with us, we say thank you very much. Thanks for taking us with you to work. Maybe you're sitting at the desk getting the day started. Maybe kids are dropped off and you're grabbing a late breakfast, whatever it is. Or maybe it's an early breakfast. I don't know. We've been up for a while. Wherever you're listening, however you're listening, whether it's live or listening back on the podcast or on demand, we appreciate you being here. It's Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community, communitybank.net. I was thinking during the break, just for a second, I hope you'll indulge me for...
Yeah, that's dangerous.
Yeah, I know. I hope you'll indulge me for 30 seconds here, because I want to say two thank yous. I was thinking about the last week, Lance, and the guests that we have had on the program. Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith a week ago. Senator Wicker is going to join us in just a matter of minutes. We've had the Lieutenant Governor, the Speaker of the House is going to be on with us tomorrow, Jason White. Dr. Dan Edney is going to be on with us. We had Laurie Todd Smith from the Trump administration and Attorney General Lynn Fitch. And I start naming people, I'm going to forget somebody that has been on. But our guests don't have to join us. They give of their time, and I am very appreciative of that. And I am very appreciative of our colleague, Alex Payton. She works largely behind the scenes. You may not know her. She's our content producer and does the lion's share of scheduling of guests. And just want you to know that we're grateful for all the hard work to make this happen. It's been a good run, and it's going to continue. Again, Roger Wicker will join us coming up in just a few minutes, and appreciate his time very much. We're tight window with him. He's got a meeting this morning at 8:30 Central Time, and so we're going to have to let him go a little faster maybe than we would have liked, but we will cram as much into that conversation with Senator Wicker as we possibly can. I have been telling you for a while about Community Bank. At Community Bank, we're here for every part of your financial journey. Looking to manage your personal finances? Our banking services make it simple, secure, and tailored to you. Ready to grow your business? We offer expert guidance and custom solutions to help your business thrive. Dreaming of a new home? Our mortgage specialists are here to make the process seamless, all designed with you in mind. We're more than just a bank. We're your partner for life's biggest moments. Community Bank, rooted in our community. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Check out their website, communitybank.net, and find a location near you. They are all over the state of Mississippi. New reporting from the Associated Press about what is going on in Iran. The death toll is rising significantly. We talked yesterday about some of the independent reporting, the online reporting, estimating as many as 12,000 Iranian citizens have been killed in these protests. I suppose this is a more official number, though it's probably very conservative. From the Associated Press in Dubai, the death toll from nationwide protests in Iran has surpassed 2,500, activists say, as Iranians made phone calls abroad for the first time in days on Tuesday after the severing of communications by IRGC authorities. The number of dead climbed early Wednesday to at least 2,571. That was reported by the U.S.-based human rights activists news agency. The figure dwarfs the death toll from any other round of protest or unrest in Iran in decades and recalls the chaos surrounding the Islamic Revolution back in 1979. Iranian state television offered the first official acknowledgement of the deaths in a very callous quote in which they said the country had a lot of martyrs. President Trump went to social media yesterday, and on Truth Social, he encouraged the Iranian people and said, Iranian patriots, and then all caps, keep protesting, take over your institutions. The president was pressed in an interview with the new news anchor, CBS News, yesterday on what victory might look like in Iran, how success would be measured. He was also asked about the role that the United States might take. He talked about the fact that there had been conversations ongoing with the regime that's in charge in Iran. Seemingly those were cut off yesterday because of the brutality that the regime has inflicted on the pro-Iran protesters. Not pro-Iranian regime, but pro the country of Iran, trying to take back their country from the so-called leaders that have been in charge since 1979, since that Iranian Revolution. There was a particular line of questioning about a statement or an idea that the regime was going to begin public hangings of protesters. And the president said, I've not heard that specifically, but I can assure you that if that happens, the United States will intervene and will do so in a way that is maybe unexpected. I can't remember the new anchor at CBS's name. It's like I just want to say Dan Rather. Obviously not Dan Rather. But when he pressed President Trump on how do you measure success, and he said, well, how have we been measuring success? By winning. He said we measure success the way we did with the extraction of Maduro in Venezuela. We measure success in the way that we wiped out their nuclear facilities, and then he took a little bit of a victory lap on that when he said, when I immediately told you that the nuclear facilities had been wiped out and obliterated, and people started pushing back on that, like, maybe they haven't. Turns out I was right. And, of course, as he tends to do, he said, we've been right about everything. It's one of the things that I want to ask Senator Wicker about coming up in just a moment. There's a very delicate balance that the United States has to walk. It feels like, and this is just anecdotal, I mean, I don't have numbers to back this up, but it feels like the majority of Americans do not want some extended boots-on-the-ground military conflict with the regime that's in charge in Iran. I mean, I don't even think that's a stretch to say that most Americans do not want that. Another war on the other side of the world. But I don't know, Lance, I don't know if you have a sense of this at all, what the feeling is for most Americans if there was a precision strike, or maybe a series of precision strikes or drone strikes to go in and try to take out the regime leadership and liberate, if you will, the Iranian people.
I would imagine that Americans are probably a lot like us, very, very worried about the periphery. First of all, hurting innocent people. Two, what's going to happen with their allies? And three, what is the purpose of such a strike? Are you trying to free up ground for the protesters? I mean, I would like to know what is the goal, not some pie in the sky.
And you're trying, ultimately what you're trying to do is end the ruthless killing of innocent people who are just trying to say, we don't want you in charge anymore.
Oh, I understand. My worry is it could blow up in your face. I think that could backfire. At the same time, it could be something that would allow the people at least the freedom to express themselves and not be killed. So, again, I'm a little bit in the middle because I don't quite know, and I am a little worried about backfiring.
Yeah.
Even though that may be a small percentage, I think that's the way I think a little bit, is worry a little bit about the contingencies in something like this, especially with, Russia right over there saying, hey, don't do anything. We don't agree. And they don't have a problem invading people, killing folks. So I think I would be very careful. But at the same time, I would leave all the options on the table.
Yeah. I think the thing that unquestionably as Americans we don't want, because we're not good at it, we don't want the United States involved in nation building.
Amen.
It didn't work in Afghanistan. Didn't really work in Iraq. That's not what we're good at.
And it didn't work the last time we were in Iran.
Also correct. Mornings with Richard Cross. Senator Roger Wicker will join us coming up next.
I fly a starship across the universe divide, and when I reach the other side.
From the Bendable Glass.
Good morning. Good morning to you there.
Okay, up and at 'em. Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
I'm a hard-working man.
Back with you, Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi. It's time for us to welcome in Senator Roger Wicker. He has been in that seat since the beginning of 2008. Joins us from Washington, D.C. this morning, and he's on a tight time schedule. So, Senator Wicker, I appreciate very much you working us in this morning. Good to visit with you.
Good to hear you, Richard. Glad to be on.
There is so much going on here in the United States and also around the world. You are the chair of the Senate Armed Forces Committee. I guess let's start with kind of the international conflicts. We have the recent extraction of Maduro in Venezuela. We have the craziness of what is going on in Iran right now. And then all of these conversations that are going on about Greenland and what the United States relationship is or should be with Greenland right now. Where is your focus right now?
Well, of course, that's oversight is part of what my committee is doing, and we had a hearing yesterday on what took place in Venezuela. But let me say this about if you look at the last year, and really we're into 1 year of the Trump administration. Will be celebrated next week. The taking out of the Iran nuclear capability was absolutely pinpoint, textbook, couldn't have been done better. And then what took place a few days ago with going in and actually taking out Maduro in Venezuela and his wife as a sort of a law enforcement action, and doing that surgically, absolutely, everything went correctly because it had been thought through. We had fallback situations. I think what we're going to see in Iran, I don't know what the president has in mind. I know he's been meeting about it, and in particular, they had a confab last night in the White House about it. I do think whatever is done will be done with that sort of professionalism and expertise, and it will be well thought through by the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the Secretary of Defense and the entire team. You know, I have a lot of confidence in Marco Rubio. He was our colleague for a decade or so in the Senate and the Secretary of State now. So whatever is done, I hope we can get rid of the supreme leader. Iran has been one of the members of the axis of aggression. They're right in there, tight as they can be with communist China and Putin and Russia. And if they could be taken out of the Middle East, I think that entire section of the world would be a far better place and a far safer place, and the United States would be better off.
Senator, on the Venezuela front, there was, I think you'd be hard pressed to find people that disagree with taking Maduro out of power. I know some disagree. The concern, though, seems to be moving forward and the role that the United States plays. I said before you came on, we're proving again and again that our military might is second to none in the history of the free world. Our nation-building skills, not so much. How do we balance those two things in terms of allowing Venezuela to move forward, maybe being involved in the oil industry there, but even having to be careful about that?
Well, I think we will move to a strategy that does not involve nation building. First of all, you have to understand Venezuela is a Western culture. They're not like these Islamic countries, not like Iraq or Syria, some of those countries that really don't have a history of democracy or free enterprise. Until 3 or 4 decades ago, Venezuela was one of the most prosperous economies in the Western Hemisphere, and we just need to get back to that. So I do not think I don't think we have a nation to build there. What our interest is, what the United States interest is, and I think what the president is most concerned about is this flood of illegal drugs coming in from the cartels, not only in Venezuela but in other places in Latin America. And he wants to stamp that out. And I do think we have a chance to allow what has been for years and years and decades before Maduro and Chavez, a thriving democratic free market republic down there. And so I don't think it's a matter of nation building, but you do make a good point. There's room for some real caution there.
Senator Roger Wicker is my guest. Just a few minutes left with him. On the topic of Greenland, this is fascinating to me. I don't think most people believe that Greenland is going to be the 51st state. I know some of your Senate colleagues have pushed back on the idea of military intervention there. You've been around this president, now into his second term, and sometimes his way of getting to the finish line is a little uncanny, a little unconventional. Is this conversation about taking over Greenland and military action, in your mind, part of a larger plan of creating a stronger partnership with Greenland as opposed to the United States actually taking it over?
Well, I think that's what we're going to end up with. Let me tell you that last week, the ambassador from Denmark came to my office and brought in the foreign policy leadership from Greenland. You know, it's a government only 60, 70,000 people on the whole island,
right?
And they made it clear they want to be as helpful as they possibly can to our national defense. I think where we'll end up is with a deal on the critical minerals, and I think they're happy. The Republic of Denmark, the Kingdom of Denmark, and the sort of semi-autonomous Greenland folks are happy to make a deal with us. They'd rather we have charge of developing the critical minerals and rare earths there in Greenland, and I think perhaps opening up another base. You know, we at one point we had 17 military bases up until the early 50s in Greenland, and I think if the president would like to develop some of the resources and have some more presence there so we can defend the West, I think that's probably where we'll end up. But there'll be a meeting today, and I'm probably in at least after the meeting is over, there'll be a press conference, and we'll see what was taken. I publicly advised the president that I think he should drop the idea of actually owning Greenland. I don't think it's for sale, and these folks are our allies.
Certainly so. Last thing for you, and I know you're short on time. I was struck listening to General Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, when he was describing the operation in Venezuela. You mentioned the precision of that operation. You're around military people all the time as chair of the Senate Armed Forces Committee. Do you ever find yourself just pausing and being somewhat in awe of the capabilities of our military today?
Well, we ought to be in awe of our entire system. You know, a republic that's lasted 250 years that can be governed on the basis of compromise and free expression, and yes, it's amazing. It's amazing what we can do. And thank you for mentioning the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the precision that was used there. It is absolutely awe-inspiring. And when the ox is in the ditch, really anywhere, they look to us for leadership and for advice, and they know who the good guys are around the world. We are really out to protect ourselves, and we do it. We do it better than anybody else, and we proved it with the taking out the Iran nuclear facilities last year. We proved it just a week or two ago in Venezuela, and I'm glad to see the president pointing out that we need to increase our national defense by $500 billion. That's another indication that this president indicates for us to be strong and remain strong, and once again build back our national defense.
Senator Roger Wicker, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you, Richard. Yes, call again.
Yes, sir. We'll talk soon. Senator Roger Wicker, chairman of the Senate Armed Forces Committee. He obviously is very in tune in what is happening on a day-to-day basis with our military. Some interesting answers from the senator. And we will revisit those when we come back on the other side of this break. As it pertains to Venezuela, not only are we not interested in nation building, there does not appear to be a need for nation building there. Because, as he pointed out, they are a Western civilization, not what it's like in much of the Middle East. Seemed like a very common sense and reasonable answer about Greenland. Just an unconventional way of getting to the finish line And Iran said he would like very much to see the supreme leader removed. We're back with you right after this.
Richard Spiteful.
From the Seabrook.com.
Wake up! Wake up! Rise and shine!
Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross.
Nice early morning surprise.
On SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Maria, there was some blue and sorrow time. Just my thoughts about you bring back my peace of mind. You gypsy lady.
Back with you. It is Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi, streaming at supertalk.fm and SuperTalk TV. I appreciate the messages on the C Spire text line, 601-879-4395. Not all of you are Roger Wicker fans. Some of you sending pointed messages to me about questions that you want asked. I appreciate that. I really do. This is a little inside baseball, I guess. We had 9 minutes with Senator Wicker this morning. He had a meeting that was set to begin at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Mississippi time. He agreed to visit with us. It had been scheduled for a couple of weeks. And so I wanted to try to get the most I could out of a short amount of time with the senator. And so I decided that the focus of that conversation was specifically going to be related to his role as chairman of the Armed Forces Committee. And that's why I focused on Venezuela, Iran, and Greenland. I would have liked to have asked him about some of the financial back and forth. The insinuation from the president that credit card companies should be capped at 10% interest rates, the back and forth with the Fed. There are a lot of other things I would have liked to have gotten to, but time just didn't allow today. So hopefully we can get into a more, not substantive, but a more
comprehensive.
Broad topic, comprehensive. Thank you. Conversation with the senator in the future. But I do appreciate his time this morning. I did think that there was some interesting insight in some of his answers. I mentioned a couple of them before the break with regard to Venezuela. Talked about what they were as a country pre-Chavez and Maduro, that was a thriving nation, and that we are talking about a Western nation, not a Middle Eastern or Far Eastern nation. And so without the shackles of the communist dictator regime, it feels like there is a very real opportunity for Venezuela to strive. The senator focused on the drug trafficking and the drugs coming into the United States from Venezuela. I do think that is part of the equation here. I just don't think it's as big a piece of the equation as the Trump administration has. It's almost like that's kind of been the canary in the coal mine in this conversation. Like to pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Yes, limiting the flow of illicit drugs, specifically fentanyl, into the United States is important. More important, though, is the geopolitical stakes of China and Russia getting oil from Venezuela and what the clampdown of that oil supply and the open market sale of that oil means versus illegal oil transports that are being sold at a discount so cash can come into the coffers so Maduro can continue to pay the people so that they will continue to keep him in power. Without the flow of cash related to the oil that is being produced and harvested and shipped and sold out of Venezuela, that dictatorial regime does not have the ability to remain in power. It also doesn't have the ability to remain in power when you take the leader of that dictatorial regime and snatch him out of bed and snatch his wife out of bed and you put him in an American prison, and you do so on the basis of them being a fugitive of justice and a charged and indicted criminal. So, that's one piece of it. I thought it was a really refreshing answer on Greenland. I don't think there's... that's not right. Because somebody introduced a bill to make Greenland the 51st state in the Senate this week. What are we doing? I think the majority of Congress thinks the idea of taking over Greenland, a country that does not want to be taken over, is just dumb. I really believe, deep down, that Donald Trump, I mean, yeah, you read The Art of the Deal, you can look at the way he negotiates. I think you know that he's serious when he says something, right? I mean, he does not tend to make idle threats or empty threats. But I do think the way that he has approached the need for more security resources, the need for Greenland to be a strategic location and base of operations for the United States because of China and Russia. I think he recognizes that and thinks the best way to get the outcome that he wants is with all of the bluster. Oh, we're going to buy you. Well, we're not for sale. Well, we're going to buy you anyway. Oh, we're going to take you over. We'll just use our military. We're not really in the business of going and taking over countries that are sovereign nations or independent, semi-independent nations as part of a kingdom. It's not really the way the United States operates. And it's not the way the United States needs to be in the business of operating. But when Donald Trump does all of this cage rattling and bluster and, oh, we're going to do this and we're going to do that, while it may sound crazy, the crazy may be for a reason. And that is, you get all the intention on, oh, is the United States going to invade Greenland? We're going to go take over Greenland. We're just going to take it because we want it. That's kind of where the focus is. And behind the scenes, the conversations can be going on with Greenland. Say, look, you've got incredible untapped mineral resources. We can help you leverage those where it's good for you and good for us. We've been a partner for a long time. We need to lease from you, or in exchange for helping you extract the mineral rights, we need a heightened security presence. We need you to be on Team USA while remaining independent Greenland. Hopefully those are the conversations that are going on behind the scenes. And then just a very blunt matter of fact from Senator Wicker, the Supreme Leader needs to be taken out. He needs to be removed.
Yeah, I guess my question there would be, what is the role of the United Nations? I mean, with over 120 active armed conflicts.
They have no role.
Yeah. So why are we putting 1/3 of the money up for that budget? Why are they sitting in New York in primo real estate? You got a peacekeeping mission there that they fail miserably, and we're the leader. So, I mean, I guess my question is
when is
what
the
is
last
the role?
time the United Nations did anything?
There you go,
substance?
buddy. Thank you. 120 plus active armed conflicts on the planet today, and there's a peacekeeping mission with the UN, and a lot of their budget goes to that. So I guess my point is it seems to be a pointless endeavor.
A lot of their budget that is funded by us.
Yeah, oh, yeah. 1/3.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would love to hear and go into that one day with our senators is just like, hey, you know, what role does the UN actually play in peacekeeping? Or is this just going to be America? Is that who it is now? We're going to be the global police force when there's an entity we're funding that is supposed to be doing this work.
And I think the difference, because it's kind of been that way for a while, right?
Oh, yeah.
It appears to me the difference is with this president, he says, yeah, but we want something in return. We're not just going to do it out of the goodness of our hearts. We're not just footing the bill on everything, whether it's NATO or the UN or, you know, other people carrying some of the load. I mean, we, in theory, may have liberated Venezuela, but not for free. We're going to take a stake in your oil companies. We're going to help you help yourself, and we're going to give you the ability to pay us for the work that we've done. Does that make any sense?
Oh, yeah.
I think it's different in that way, or at least I think Donald Trump wants it to be different in that way. We're going to wrap things up when we come back with you. Mornings with Richard Cross on this Wednesday, the 14th of January, middle of the week, middle of the month. We're back right after this.
Fast train, honey. I wasn't born yesterday. I got a good Christian raising and an eighth-grade education, and ain't no need for y'all to treat me this way.
From the Venable Glass Traffic.
Super Talk, Mississippi.
Ladies and gentlemen,
here we go. Now back to Mornings with Richard Cross.
Now that's entertainment.
Tourist is there, they drove her a while. The border's a place, but on a brand new face. Me and the boys are just in town. Shake 'em up, roll 'em down.
Last time on this Wednesday with you, it's Mornings with Richard Cross. We hope you have a spectacular day. Alongside Lance Tolbert, I'm Richard. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget that Genteel is the official apparel provider of SuperTalk Mississippi. You can find them online at genteelapparel.com. They've got pretty good sales going on some closeout items from the winter season with their spring arrivals coming in daily. I was talking with the folks at Genteel a week or so ago, and some of their spring items were starting to come in, and January was going to be basically daily. I mean, when the shipments start coming in, it's like a cavalcade of boxes and then getting it all into inventory and then out to you. Check them out, Genteel. Don't forget about the collegiate collection. They can help you look your best this spring as you head off to baseball diamonds across the state of Mississippi. We're a month away.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to look swagalicious at your next baseball game or basketball game, that you want to go with Genteel. Trust me, it makes me look good, and you know that says a lot.
There you go. There you go. President Trump, outside of Air Force One, I guess this was just a little while ago. I just saw this kind of pop up on some of the feeds that I was looking at. Reporter says Iran says it will retaliate in the instance of United States strikes. Trump says, yeah, Iran said that the last time I blew them up with the nuclear capability, which they don't have any longer. So they better behave.
Well, they don't even know if the supreme leader is still around. I mean, he could have bailed out and been hiding somewhere. I mean, who's in charge there? I don't think many people really know.
It's like he's the puppet master.
Yeah, I mean,
he doesn't actually have to have his hand on the strings.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a bunch of underlings. And again, I'm tired of hearing the word the title supreme leader of what? I mean, I'm curious. What is he the supreme leader of? So I'm not going to refer to this guy as the supreme leader. He's an idiot.
The Ayatollah?
Yeah,
that's also too formal.
Forget that guy. Yeah, forget Ayatollah and all that. You know, I'm sorry. I've had enough of the martyrs and all that diatribe.
Kamani.
Yeah, exactly. What a joke.
Well, just just go with Kamani.
Alibaba Kamani or whatever his name is.
Trump criticized Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. What else is new? Amid a DOJ probe into the central bank's ongoing renovations. He told CBS News' Tony DeCouple. Is that how you say his name?
You got me.
DeCouple. Anyway, Trump said he's either corrupt or incompetent, talking about Jerome Powell.
A bad combination, huh?
Yeah. Powell said late on Sunday that the DOJ served the Fed with grand jury subpoenas on Friday and threatened a criminal indictment related to his testimony before the Senate Banking Committee last June. During that testimony, he discussed the renovations of the central bank's Eccles and Federal Reserve Board East buildings. The buildings, which were erected in the 1930s, have not been renovated since opening. After 100 years, maybe it's time. Cost of the project when it began in 2022 has risen from $1.9 to $2.5 billion, with the Fed citing changes to the original building designs, higher than anticipated cost for materials, equipment, and labor, and unforeseen conditions, such as more asbestos than expected. The president claimed, though, that he could renovate the buildings for $25 million. And said it looks like they won't open for a long time.
Well, the guy wouldn't even report what they were doing, right? I mean, they nicely asked, said, hey, just send us a report. What's going on here? And they're like, nah, we don't think we have to do that. We control the money.
We're independent. We don't really answer to you.
I'd say shut it down. I mean, if it hadn't been renovated since the 30s, just shut them down. We had two presidents.
Well, it's a pretty nice space.
Yeah, we had two presidents kick these bankers out twice. So let's give it a try next time.
I'm sure it is a gorgeous renovation. Did they have to spend $2.5 billion or even $1.9 billion on the renovation? Probably not. They probably could have gotten away with a nice, tidy $1 billion renovation to the building. So probably a little bit of truth in both sides here. Did they overdo it? Yeah. Are they over budget? Yes. Like every other construction project in the history of the world of the last 5 years. They're all over budget. I don't care if you're building a carport or a shed or a house or renovating the Federal Reserve buildings, you're going over budget. I don't know that the amount they went over is that egregious. Maybe it's just that the plans were too audacious to start with. I don't know.
Those hammers cost a lot, man.
Yeah, I suppose so. Thanks for being with us on this Wednesday. Appreciate Senator Dennis DeBar joining us from the Mississippi Senate and also Senator Roger Wicker from Washington, D.C. Hope you have a wonderful Wednesday. Looking forward to being back in the Magnolia State tomorrow. For Lance, I'm Richard. Have a great day.
Yes, it did. Ain't no reason to deny it. I owe it all to Jesus Christ. Yes, I do. God bless you.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.